traders. All right, let's do a quick little sound check. Looks like the red bar is up today, so you guys should be able to hear me okay. Oh, crazy, crazy day. All right, so I can hear myself. We'll see if you guys are catching up there. Sounds okay? Good. Cool. Thank you, sir. How are you doing this evening? How is New York? The last couple of days I haven't watched Governor Cuomo speak in the morning. How are things up there? Tired sleeping. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have the kids today, so I'm slightly refreshed, but I wouldn't quite say one day was enough to kind of recharge the batteries fully. Uh, Zombie apocalypse had cleared the streets. Yeah, I'm sure it's kind of weird up there right now. I mean, like super, like strange, right? I mean, New York is always has people in it, right? And now you go outside and there's nobody. It'd be strange. All right, sounds good here. Cool, thank you, Sean. All right, so day started off normal. Right, we started off normal. Retail sales number was good. All the numbers across the board were good, and then all of a sudden, bam, we got cranked with this 3.2 million. Much worse than expected. Um, yeah, nothing we could say about that one. Now, the markets overall, again, they reacted pretty well. Better than I think that most people would have expected. Um, as far as what the day did, I mean, we thought literally that this number was going to come in and it was just going to tank, and that was not really the case. Markets continue to push up, and they're pulling back a little bit right now, but for the most part, from the time that number kicked in, it went straight up, and then more or less around 1 o'clock, it kind of slowed a bit, dropped, and then again, we had the end of the day kind of spike back up in the air again, going, leading us into the final day of the week. So, pretty interesting. I think this was kind of an artificial pop. I was actually talking to Jack earlier today about it as well, and he agreed. We were both kind of had the same consensus that we think there's going to be one more pop to the downside, something big. Like this is not the bottom, but there'll be something else when people get sure of the market, or something else will happen that we'll see another kind of push down in the market. It was actually interesting. I logged on just a little while ago. You guys can see. Tudor Jones said the same thing, right? I figure when Paul is given the same assessment that you have, that's not a bad thing, right? That's always nice when your assessment is backed up by someone as big and as respected as Paul Tudor Jones. So, but that was pretty interesting. Like I said, whoops, we broke it. We broke it. Look at that. I was mentioning him, and they were like, "Oh, wait a second, you didn't pay your royalties." Anyway, so that was pretty cool that he's kind of in the same assessment that I think we are gonna push back down again eventually here, for any number of reasons. We'll see. I've seen pictures. Someone posted a pic of Trader Joe's. Line was 4 blocks. Yeah, I can imagine. Somebody said they were only letting so many people in at a time. All right, so for the most part, a couple of these pairs are, close. This is going to end up bringing the ATRs back up a little bit. For the last 3 days, we kind of had muted days that were, better off, bringing us back down into normal ranges. But again, makes sense. I mean, again, this is the largest number we've ever had as far as an unemployment number goes. So it makes sense that everything was a little bit out of whack today. Euro dollar up 128. Again, that's not crazy for the amount. I mean, that could be a non-farm payroll day, right? So it's bigger than what the ATR was before all this. But again, that was a little bit kind of compressed. It's obviously much less than what the ATRs are overall, right? For this pair. So 127. Can't be upset about that. Good trade. Pound. The pound is up 325. So this one is still a little bit exaggerated. I was kind of excited yesterday. The pound was down. Basically, we were well within old ranges, and yeah, this one's going to bring it back up a little bit. And again, what are you going to do on this one? It's not even like the retail sales number was good. It was just the unemployment number is so bad, and obviously there's a little bit of strength there. The pound kind of brought in. Dollar yen down 166. Again, could that happen in a normal day? Yeah, it could. It would be a big day. So, not the end of the world on that one. Like I said, it will help shrink the ATRs a bit, but not really get it back to as close as we want it. We'd obviously like to get it a bit closer than that. Looking at dollar CAD, minus 180, that's kind of a big number for dollar CAD. kind of surprised that that one is as much as it is, but again, we were so far extended to the top side. Again, it's just bringing us back into what normal should be. Aussie dollar up 175. And again, that was worse. In the last 60 minutes, that one's actually pulled back a bit. So again, that's a big day for the Aussie. That one was had an ATR of about 65.70 before, so that was a big day. But again, as big as this package was and everything, again, not super surprised. Euro pound, which again obviously is not influenced by the U.S. dollar, or U.S. stimulus, or anything like that. Down 138. I mean, that's a big move. I mean, there's that pound strength stepping in. Then obviously pound yen up 145, which is a normal day, right? That's not a big day. That's just a normal day. So nothing we got to kind of go crazy or worry about on that one. But besides that, I mean, for the most part, considering what we dealt with today, it was not a bad day. Not a bad day at all. So, again, you guys can see retail sales came in at minus 0.3%. The unemployment number came in. The official bank rate came in. The final GDP number came in exactly as expected. And then the G20 meetings were held today as well. So, pretty interesting. Looking at tomorrow, and again, you guys can see here, we have everything selected. And we have all the countries, and I'll go kind of down here, and you can see we have a little bit of personal income, which none of this stuff nobody's going to care about, right? Even the revised U of M consumer sentiment, it may affect a little bit, but I mean, honestly, with the stimulus and with the jobs number today, I just don't see how the consumer sentiment number is going to really matter that much. That is typically in regards to the economy, and I don't know. I just don't think that's going to be much of a mover. I just don't think it's going to have enough oomph there. And it's even marked as a yellow. So I don't think tomorrow is going to be. I think it's going to be a much slower moving day. Obviously, I mean there'll be comments and things like that, and news and stuff basically being talked about with the stimulus package. People will be picking it apart both ways. The good things about it, the bad things about it, and again you know the finality of it, I think, is what the important thing is. And that will be the news of tomorrow, moving things around. So that's all we really have to look forward to. Like I said, typically these are not big movers. They're not even considered medium movers at this point. And again, look at this. Nothing for Friday. Friday is pretty just blah. All right. This is an interesting one too. I thought down here, Merkel talking about not all EU member states are in agreement on joint deal, on joint debt, which makes sense. Joint debt, however you try to slice that thing fairly, it means that Germany's picking up the bill. So Germany was upset about that before. So I don't know why they would be happy about it now. So we'll see. Besides that, I mean, really nothing else in here. I mean, the hottest news is really not super, super hot. I know authorities say, there's no need to empty the ATM, which makes sense. If they close the market, then there'll be a run on ATMs, but that's one of the reasons why they're not. That's it. Three reasons. This is interesting too. 3 reasons for the return to 105, and then obviously the dollar crumbles as U.S. jobless claims skyrocket. Again, got it. No big deal. Again, we will get through this one and we'll be able to move forward. So, overall, besides that number, pretty uneventful and not a whole lot going tomorrow. Which again, a nice boring day going in. Here's the big plus for tomorrow. If we have a boring day tomorrow and it kind of does what it looks like it's going to do with no news and nothing else, that means we will get some closes tomorrow. And they'll be nice closes. The last couple weeks, we've had some closes that have been like 40, 50, 60 pip kind of final 30-minute candles, and that makes Sunday night gaps pretty difficult to trade. If we get ones tomorrow, they're back within their normal ranges of say 12 to 18. That opens up a lot more trade possibilities, and then we just got to see if the spreads are in the right places. So it may be a return of the Sunday night gap strategies again. Get us some more pips on them. Like I said, I think we were like 9 weeks or 10 weeks in a row of being positive every single week. And then again, this week, I just didn't post anything. The spreads were too big. The gaps were too large. Or actually, the gaps were kind of non-existent, but the spreads were like 30, 40 pips. So I did not post anything. So this was the first week that I did not post anything since December. And again, we've been positive every single week since that time. So, I'm hoping that it gets back. It's a nice strategy. It's a fun strategy. There's nothing better than going into Monday morning already, up, green on the market. So, let's hope that we get back there quick. All right. So looking at the scanner, obviously, we had 2 good days in a row. And then obviously today is going to mess the scanner up a little bit. You're going to see a lot of things in consolidation. Again, looking at the majors, everything basically moved over 100 pips. So the majors is obviously going to be messed up a little bit. Everything was kind of outside of its normal range. Pound, obviously, up 331. It's showing us that we're in an uptrend setup. Okay, well, I don't see any pullback on that one, right? Maybe on the 4 hour and the 1 hour, but it was still up, 333 pips for the day. Dollar Swiss, again, uptrend setup. That was down 135, but again, being down 135, you would assume it'd be more closer to like an anchor break. But again, it's been going in one direction for so long, but you're seeing it confirmed on the lower time frames. Dollar again, same thing. It says uptrend setup, but that's only because we had I actually have that chart up right now. That's only because we had 557 pips of straight up with no red. That's why it's still inside of a downtrend setup. Since that daily zone that we pointed out on Friday, actually earlier this week on Sunday, that thing has dropped now 283 pips from that daily zone that we talked about, that high on the curve. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful trade. Again, even with the big risk at this point, I mean, the thing is just flying. That would have been, this one to scream touch bracket all over it to the downside. So, but besides that, dollar CAD again, huge day, 135 down. New Zealand dollar, Aussie dollar, both consolidating back in, showing me that were they not getting the strength that they thought they were going to get. So those will be important to look at. You can see the euro is kind of split, right? Half of it is blue, half of it is red. And again, you're seeing consolidation on the blue ends, and you're seeing these downtrend setups with the Swiss, the New Zealand, the dollar, and the pound. Again, big pushbacks to the downside. So we'll see. Those will be interesting to kind of check out. I'm very interested to check those charts. CAD, for the most part, is showing this weakness, right? Because it's in secondary position here. Then the two here that it's kind of like, not bad. And then obviously down here, it's showing bearish. But again, that is positive for the CAD. So, pretty interesting. The CAD is more or less across the board showing positivity. And again, that's something we haven't seen really a lot recently. And then if you look over here, we actually see some blue inside of the Aussie basket. Now, it is a consolidation phase, right? It's not up, down, sideways, or confirmed. It's basically in that consolidation, just sideways with an upward bias. But we actually have a blue tick right now, right? It's been solid red for the last week and a half, right? We actually have some blue, and again, it's versus the Canadian dollar, right? So that's pretty interesting. Looking at the pound basket, pound was all blue, but again, we do have kind of one little check down here where we have a little bit against, the pound Aussie. The pound Aussie is actually showing a bit of negativity, right? Showing a little bit of a weakness versus the Aussie. Now, it is just showing us downtrend, consolidation, a little bit confirmed in there. So it's not giving us the best, but we do actually have a red tick. So this used to be all red. This used to be all red. And again, it's kind of swapped around. Okay, but now we're seeing weakness here. We're seeing more or less. But again, consolidation, we're not getting that big movement. And then over in the pound, we're finally seeing some weakness. So things are starting to equal out. It's, it's getting there. It's close. Hopefully we'll be there pretty soon, right? Hopefully. But again, it's, for the most part, again, I expected the scanner would most likely come back online and be useful again next week. But we need those ATRs to drop. Right now, the ATRs are going to be skewed. Anything that is showing setups is not necessarily true because we had so many days of large movements in one direction. It's just not going to give you valid setup. So it's one of those things I was telling somebody earlier. Using tools is great. Tools make our jobs easier, make us more successful, but you have to know the limitation of every tool, and it's also one of the biggest problems when people rely on indicators too much. You have to know what the limitations are, okay? Everything has limitations. There's no such thing as the perfect indicator, the perfect tool. You got to understand the limitations to everything, and then obviously take precautions to prevent against those. That's just the way the things are. So again, I know the limitations of the scanner. When we have 5 days of 600 pips movement straight up in the air, I shouldn't be sitting here saying, "Hey, listen, I know it's an uptrend setup." Well, I mean, it just bounced off a daily. It's pulling back. It's 300 pips down, looking for orders. You've been trying to step in front of this thing. It's like trying to step in front of a moving train. It's just not worth doing it. Okay. All right. With that being said, let me get off the soapbox. Let me jump over. Let me switch over to Aussie charts. We're not going to start with that one. We'll start with this one, and let's pop over to the chart section. All right, so first things first, okay? On the daily, you can see, again, we are taking that bounce even further now. Again, we had a little bit of a pullback. We had a little bit of red, right? We're starting to see red. Again, we got a little bit of pullback. And again, this is mostly dollar weakness more than anything else, right? As you can see, we came back up last night, right? Let's click this timer in here. You can see here's where we are now. And then last night, we were sitting down here. We'd bounced off this level of basing, we've pulled right back up to it, and we ran into the same type of sellers. So we already know that the last time the price was up here, price was turned around and pushed back down again. Seeing the kind of two highs like this, kind of descending to the downside, makes me to believe that, hey, listen, it's going to make one more attempt, but it's already kind of made two and failed. So looking on the lower time frame, you can see was it a super successful kind of rally up? Went a little bit higher, but there was this base zone here, but this is where the big zone started. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. It was a push up, and then this push was not quite as high, dropping it down to the 30-minute. You can see right there, right? You can see what we're running into. And again, it's bouncing back and forth. It actually completed all the way to the downside at this point. But it did put a lower high in. Okay, so we'll see what this is able to do now. There may be actually another shot to take this short. Looking at it, again, I think looking at this on an hourly is a good kind of view. Again, we had this small level of basing, right? Right in this area, right? We had that level of basing. We had marked that off. I hate when it does that. Right, there's a candle. Okay, and we've talked about this before. We ended up hitting this yesterday and dropping back down again. But that's the zone that hit off of. So it did go a bit further. This time it didn't go as far. We'll see. I mean, it may flip here and actually continue to push down. Now, any type of short position out of here, I would make sure that I have my profit target sitting right here before the opposing zone. There's not much to slow it down. There's a little bit of a hiccup here, but at that point, you are looking at being like 150 pips down. So you're probably pretty safe to just take it at the opposing zone. I don't think we'll have too much of a problem. There's not much else in here. This pullback was kind of you could see it here. All right. I'll put this on there just in case you guys can see it. Whoops, not there. Yeah. See, the 1 to 3 is good, and the 1 to 5 is good as well. It's sitting right here before this zone, so you're okay with that one. To either. All right. So kind of a downward position there. Aussie New Zealand. So Aussie New Zealand again is having those pullbacks, right? Now this one, okay. So this one, it looks like we had set up a Harry Potter to the downside, and we took a little bit of a bounce off of it, again, with the news today, and then it kind of collapsed back down again. So the same trade is probably on. As you can see, we were looking for a break. We never got it. It came down in one candle and never gave us the actual entry. Here is it on the 30, and you can see we never had that white space that we were looking for. Now, the same zone could have been used on the top side, and that's what it did. Actually, if you'd used the green level, I think we actually did this off the hourly. Yeah, we ended up using it off this zone right here. Yeah, so we ended up doing a bit higher, but never got an entry to the downside. So still a valid trade. Again, we bounced a little bit lower. We bounced back up, formed a new level, and then just have kind of gone sideways since. So this one, I still think we are good to go for that downside target. Again, it has put a little level in here, but that's what it will need to break through that to give us a trade entry anyway. So I'm not really worried about it. If it bounces off the top, I don't have an entry. I'm looking for a clean break, some white space, and then a retest of this zone at 103.30 to 101.50 is that little 20 pip zone that I'm looking for. So again, kind of the same idea, right? I'm, Aussie dollar down. Also New Zealand, I'm looking for a short trade as well. So they're going in confluence there. Aussie yen. All right, so Aussie yen, you can see this one is already kind of pulled back from that zone that we mentioned yesterday, right? And today it didn't do much. It was down, up, and the open and close was almost the same exact spot. There you can see what it was. There's the top side. I'm gonna leave the bottom right there for right now. And there we go. All right. So we had the top entry. You can see there's a little bit of a basing level. I came across. I mean, it's not. This one is. There's not as much sitting there on it right now. There's your 30-minute. It's pulling up, and we mentioned this last night. Here's where we are now. Last night we were sitting right here. Okay, we were sitting down in these levels, and we said if price comes all the way up, that's where we'd be looking to sell. But again, is that the cleanest? No. Is this clean? No. And ended up going just higher before it turned and flipped. So, there's a couple things in there. If anything, I'd be short, but getting an entry in this one, again, I don't like this. I don't like how this red candle right here is higher than where the basing level was. So not a great entry for me for the Aussie yen. I think the other two Aussie pairs are giving us better entries, but it does look like it's rolling over, and again, it has room to run to the downside. So similar target. If you are able to get short and you do find something that you like, again, your target would be down here, sitting down here at 65.05. Okay, I think the other two are better opportunities though. Aussie CAD. So Aussie CAD on the daily, man, huge spike down, right? Pop up, grab some orders, pulled up, and it looks like we're trying to push over across again. This one, we formed an okay level. It turned in an area that I wouldn't say is really great. We're kind of smack in the middle on the 4 hour, right? On the hourly, kind of the same thing. We're kind of hitting the middle. I think the 4 hours is what you should focus on. Being in the middle of these two zones until we get top or bottom, there's really not much setup, and it looks like it wants to go test the top again. And again, top side, it's okay. I mean, how much are we talking here? I mean, it is 20 pips. It's still kind of out of whack right now. I mean, like we're not taking these obviously for longs. I mean, this is 80 something pips on an hourly. So, um, if anything, let's wait to see what it does up top. How much room we got here? About 130. The daily ATR on this one is 231. So I mean, even the 30-minute, it could get all the way up here. But if it uses all of its strength in one shot, what's it got left? Nothing. I mean, the market's going to close tomorrow, and again, the Aussie pretty much will be done by morning time. With no really, big CAD news in the morning, I just don't think there'll be too much going on with this one. I'm hoping for a slow day. I'd love for it to close up here, but I don't think it can put that much juice in with any type of catalyst tomorrow. Not enough to move it to where it's kind of a catch-22. I would love for it to go that high, but at the same time, I don't want it to go that high because I want the ATR to kind of shrink back down again. Give me a nice little trade setup. I mean, if we close, somewhere in here, there are a few wick over wicks that I can use for a potential area to pop into to take a short. Or again, if we rally up and then open below, I can take this for a short a little bit early to the downside. So Aussie CAD, there's a little bit there. Aussie Swiss, looking at this one, again, you guys can see me, those two zones in here. We kind of more or less stayed in the middle, right? I mean, here's where we are now in the 4 hour. Last night we were sitting kind of this push down here. We're sitting in a zone, and I remember talking about this, that we're sitting in a zone last night, formed off of this level. And we did rally up. I mean, it did go a little bit higher, but again, I don't know. You guys can see here on the 30-minute, once it formed its top and bottom, we were going for the safety of either one, and it's unable to do that. It kind of is playing middle of the road. So kind of the same thing for having a 2 or 3 pip spread on this one. The ATR is still not bad. It's 178. It's coming down, but again, it's still pretty high. So I'm kind of rooting for this one to have a smaller day tomorrow as well, so we can get this one back into trading ranges again. Aussie Singapore on the daily looks almost identical to the Aussie dollar. On the 4 hour, you can see all it did was we were sitting over here, we pulled back and we came across and we're sitting here now. So let's see, right here is where we were last night and we just kind of pulled up. So we stayed, it was basically an inside day for the Aussie Singapore. So nothing really to write home about. Even on the hourly, you can see that we basically just same range, a little hop down and stayed up, didn't even tag the top or bottom. So no trade setups on Aussie Singapore. Looking at the CAD. So dollar CAD again, minus 193 right now. Kind of craziness. As you guys can see, check that out. There's our yellow line again. Okay. Here is where we talked about having that entry yesterday, right? So we ended up hitting it. We pushed all the way down and pulled all the way back up, and we tagged it again. Okay. Now, here is the 4 hour. I opened the window because it's like hot in my upstairs right now, and somebody's got a fireplace that I can smell it. Here's the 4 hour. Again, as you guys can see, we pulled down from the day before. It grabbed these orders here at the gap. Again, this is the Sunday night gap strategy, just on a 4 hour. Came up, pushed down, right? Didn't make it. Came up again, and if you guys drop it down to the lower time frame, you can see, oh, look at that. There was a zone there, right? So let's clear this so we can get a better view. And you guys can see when it came over, that's where the start of the get happened, right? And we said if we can get some type of an entry, that would be a nice little pop there. Here's what it looked like on the 30-minute. As you guys can see, again, refined it a little bit much. The target, again, being above, this is where you would end up having, oops, not equidistant channel. This is where you're going to have to draw your zone from, okay? And you guys can see it came down and hit. This one didn't quite hit the second time, but again, there was a zone that moved over here, okay? There's where the new zone would have moved to. And again, it did go back into the same zone. So again, kind of a front run zone. We knew that it could be dangerous over here. And again, hit it and collapsed all the way back down again. So a couple different trade setups in this one that you could have taken. This one, let's see. This one happened at about 5 o'clock. This one happened at about 11 o'clock this morning. Okay, so you had a couple different entries to be able to get in that also coincided with, kind of what was going on. Here was the news, the 8:30 news in the morning with the unemployment number. And all it did was bring it back up, right? All it did was shoot it to the top side because of the yen exposure. Didn't make it as far as we wanted to, but again, I mentioned last night, this would not be an entry for me for going long. It would be a target for going short, and it looks like that's what we're potentially going to hit right now. So going to tomorrow, I don't really have much more setups on this one. Again, the top side, we still have some valid things up there, but I don't think it's going to pop. I think the 1 hour has given us the kind of the best idea of saying, hey, listen, we are in a demand zone, so probably a bit more bullish biased. But again, if you look at this, we are very, very high on the curve still. We should still be looking to short, at least on the hourly. Again, if we were down here, then it's a different story, right? Down here, then we're looking to go long. Here, this is more about breaking targets and taking continuations to the downside. So not really there. And even in the near term, if you're taking from here is the low and here is the high for where it's been, we're still sitting in the middle. We just don't have that much room to run. All right. Um, kind of where we're at. This guy, same thing. Again, you guys can see here, this is choppy back and forth. That's why I haven't covered it this week because it's just literally been in the same area, kind of chopping back and forth inside of different targets. So, and again, I had this area marked off as kind of like the median kind of body that it keeps sucking back to. You can see it spent a lot of time here, pulled away, sucked back in, came up, pulled up, sucked back in again, popped up, came back, sucked in again, tried to come down, came up, sucked back in again, popped and is riding and is about to get sucked back in again. So it's kind of a median range right now, kind of, I don't know, it's almost like the kind of the average area. Call it what you will. We still have a valid entry on this one on the top side, but where price is right now, it's not as big of a mover. And right now the daily ATR is down to 123, so it is kind of a strange pair. It is a 2-pip spread, but its ATR is getting kind of swallowed up very, very fast, more similar to where it should be. So this one could probably be a better trader next week. Okay, looking at the Swiss. Okay, on the Swiss here, you guys can see on the daily, right? We had that zone up top. We did not get up to the top section again, that 114, but we did come up to that kind of front run zone, right? You guys will see here on the 4-hour, we were able to come up and touch it. It kind of formed a new level. We kind of got front run for it. It popped, and that's what ended up triggering today to the downside. Try to make it so you guys can see it a little bit better, but it's not. But anyway, it's off of this zone. You guys can see it right there. And that one triggered about 9 o'clock this morning. Again, that was the unemployment number. We popped up into that front run zone. I'm still holding firm for the guy up top. It's like, man, I really wanted to get up here, but again, we put a zone in here, then we put a new zone in, and then we had a new spike up right into that new zone, and that's what continued to push away. And this one actually moved pretty, a bunch. This one is, you're down 87. So again, more normal for what we're kind of used to, right? The daily on this one is down to 165. So anything under 200 at this point, it's like, yes, it's going in the right direction. Going in the right direction. And again, if we can get a slow day tomorrow, the Swiss yen will also be in ranges where we can start trading it again. And you're seeing a sharp, sharp turn right here. So another small day, and if we eat up, really, I don't know if you guys can see it. This candle right here, let me make this big. If we could eat up this candle, like when this candle goes, the ATR is going to like drop by like 30 pips probably, 30, 40 pips. So that's the big one. And again, count 14 days back, right? 14 candles you have. This one you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So this next big one, again, is another 240 pip candle. That's about to get eaten away. So that will also help bring this down. But this biggie, the biggie right here, we're talking about 320 pips. So when that one gets painted off in, the 14-day mark, it's funny. This is like the coronavirus, right? It lasts 14 days. You got to self-seclude for 14 days, right? Well, in 14 days, this one will be peeled off, and this one, the CAD or the Swiss yen will be clean, right? And then again, the ATR will be back to normal. So it's kind of funny how that works. All right, so go down to the euro. All right, continue loading. I have too many windows open. By the way, guys, I found a tool that I am testing right now. All right, found a tool that I am testing right now for the 5-minute binaries, just to kind of make it a little bit better. I actually did. I'm doing a mentor session. I just had my second one today, and I have a third one in 2 weeks with a student who's killing it. Guy's killing it on with his 5 minutes, and it's funny. I will say this for those of you that refuse to give up toss, and I'm not gonna say who the student is, but I'll tell you what his results were. His results using toss, I encourage him to switch because you guys know how I feel about the toss technical analysis. The charts are just horrible in my opinion, right? So he was 3 for 3 and he made $24 in his toss trades. Then he went 5-0 using IG charts and was up $234. So in analyzing that, I was like, which one do you think you should be using? He's like, the IG charts. So again, charting does matter for a lot of these strategies. All right. Looking at this Euro Aussie, again, it's the exact opposite of what all the Aussie pairs are doing. We had that big spike up in all the other pairs, it was a big red spike down and then the green up, right? This is the exact opposite. It's the big green spike up and then the red pullback. And again, it's having some problems just like the other ones are, right? On the 4-hour,
you can see here we kind of bounce back and forth. This is where chart school, this is the candle right now, and then chart school last night was right here. Okay, right at the start of this, we were unable to get all the way up to the 4-hour zone, and we were unable to get back down. We literally went from here up, and then came right back down to where we were. So in total, right now we are about 50 pips different from where we were. For this having an ATR of 544, the fact that we are only 50 points from where we were this time last night shows you that some of the craziness is going away. And same thing, we have a large candle right here. This is on the daily. You'll see that we have this large candle right here, right? That's its first big spike, and this was one of those ones that was like 1,000 pips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Actually, when this one closes, this candle will be wiped out. Okay, then we got two small ones, unfortunately, but we'll start eating these things up. But this 1,000-point candle will make a huge difference in the ATR of this one as well. And then again, hopefully next week, this one will get chunked, a little bit better. And then once this big final candle here gets chunked out, this will be back to normal and then tradable again. All right. Looking at EuroCAD. Okay, EuroCAD on the daily. I mean, look at that. Like this, it looks horrible, right? If I try to make it like this, you're like, really from where it gapped 2 weeks ago, it hasn't moved. It's in the same exact spot. And again, the ATR on this was 283, so it was still not wonderful. Look at this 4-hour. Okay, so we talked about being safe, whether it be high or low on the curve, and it didn't do anything. So, again, current candle, and then chart school last night was right here. Okay, so this one moved a total of, what does this say? 12 pips in 24 hours. Again, that one is going to start soaking these things up very, very fast. Start getting some of these big wicks out of here. And this one will be returned to normal next week as well. So that's pretty exciting also that another one will come back online. Now, Euro Swiss. Euro Swiss has been making a big attempt. It didn't have the gigantic candles to the downside. You can see this one only has a daily ATR of 57 pips, so it did not have the craziness that the other pairs did have. So it makes a little bit more sense. Obviously, much, much slower. The problem with this one, as I mentioned yesterday, it's like this is a glass sitting on top of a dryer, right? It's very fuzzy, lots of wicks, lots of smaller bodies in here, not a lot of clean areas, and until we got back up top to here, nothing super clean, right? 4 hours probably the best one to do it on. Hourly maybe, but 4-hour we can do it. Basically, we're sitting smack in the middle between areas of sellers and areas of buyers. And anything here in the middle, there's no clean zones to be able to take. This one does have a potential for opening inside of zones on the 30 minutes. So this was the best one from last week, and we saw it basically rally all week, coming from a zone where it opened. So, I think there's some possibilities for this one over the weekend, especially with it keeping its ATR low, and again, these two returning back to normalcy. Okay. So look for this one. I don't expect any setups in this one tomorrow, even on lower time frames. You guys can see it's kind of all over the place, right? There's the 30-minute, right? Where is the explosive movement? I mean, there's a little bit up here, but I mean, it's one candle. And it's actually higher than what the peak is. Typically, we like the basing candle be the peak. So, I mean, this one you would have hit. This one, probably not, actually. That one would not have triggered. But really, again, no strong movement. It's literally just kind of bouncing back. So nothing really on Euro Swiss. Looking at Euro Pound. So Euro Pound down 150. Let me make sure that's still good. Yeah, live link. Down 150 for today, right? Look at this thing. So this thing is definitely putting some pressure back down to the to the downside. As you can see, we talked about this before. We were still in a downtrend. Actually last night, right? Last night we were sitting right here, and I said, hey, listen, it's going to be a big, this is going to tell us a lot, and it was looking like it was rolling over anyway. We had a high here, a lower high, a lower high, lower high, and we were stuck here last night as a lower high. But I mentioned, again, we're not taking a long off of this zone. But again, we had priced it originally started here. We tagged it here. We tagged it here. And we were coming back into it again. So it wasn't a zone that I was really necessarily looking for it to hold. I was looking for profit targets down in this range, down on the 30-minute, right? And we weren't even able to get there. But we did put a lower high in, which is great. And again, it's still putting the lower highs. And now we have that lower low. So it's close to a profit target. There may actually be potential in this one tomorrow to take a little bit of a long off of. Again, we are we're about 30 pips from there, but there may be a small term kind of bounce. There is no news to be able to drive this. This could be something in the morning, but this is a couple days in a row that you can see that this thing, dropping in the 4-hour. You can see that this has had some major kind of pushes to the downside. We're probably due for a bit of a bounce on, and again, something on a smaller time frame would be where you'd want to take that one. This zone. The zone's 30, so it's
It's not the best. It's kind of big for this pair right now. As you can see on the 15-minute, what I would probably do on the 15 is have this overlay in. I was hoping it would be at the bottom, not kind of in the middle like a stripe. Stripes. See it on that one. Yeah, I was hoping we'd be able to cheat on that one and go a little bit lower, but no, not really. So yeah, maybe something small tomorrow on that one, depending on if it can get out of that zone before the European Open. If it cannot get there before the European Open, then again, there's not too much we can do with it. All right. Again, that would be an intraday, more of an intraday trade. But by 9 o'clock tomorrow, that one is probably done. Euro yen, you guys can see here. Oh, you know what? This here. Hold on one sec, guys. Save. All right, cool. I had to remove the little timer. I was like, wait, why is there a timer over there? I was like, oh yeah, that was from this morning. All right, so again, this one had a big turn off the daily. We had marked off that area last night. As you can see, again, nice pushback. I mean, basically 12 hours of straight down. This one also had a similar pop. So let me mark this one off so we can check it on the lower time frames. As you can see on the hourly, okay, pull the time in, make sure the time is good for now. And you can see that the news this was literally the turning point for this pair. And we went all the way back up with the news, right? Continued to drive, hit once, hit twice. And again, we could have lowered the risk on that one if you wanted to. I mean, this is on the hour. 4 hour wasn't too much different. And then it literally just collapsed starting at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It just pushed all the way through. So again, spent all day going up in one session and then continue to push down. And in actuality, you guys can see from last night, right around chart school time, what did it do in the European session? It went down, 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 down. U.S. news came online at 9 o'clock. We got the news. It went up, 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 up. U.S. market closed right here, and the Asian session started to open, and then we pushed back down again. So, interesting. Here was your European session, right? The U.S. session was in the middle, and then from here is your Asian session, right? Asian, U.S., I'm sorry, European London session, U.S. Asian session. Okay, but analysis is still the same. Target on this one, again, it's a little bit lower. It's at the 1 to 5 right now. I would not be taking this for a bounce right now. It's going to probably do some type of a pullback. So there's two ways. We can either get a confirmation entry to the top that we want to take it long, or look for a break of this and then a retest, and then have it shoot back down here to the 118.96. I think originally that's what we had talked about because the risk level was too big here. If we got into shorts up top, we wanted this to come back down and ended up hitting this target. That's probably still valid as far as target 1 here and then target 2 down here. All right, for the Euro Yen. Going across the Euro New Zealand, yeah. Euro New Zealand, it's still 478 pips, but it is coming down, right? It is coming down. You guys can see, look at this. One of the big days got taken out. Bam! We went from an ATR yesterday of 563 down to 476. So you guys see we're starting to eat up some of the big candles, which will help reduce this and bring this back into normal range. Like I said, liquidity is an issue with this one. It's not one of the bigger traded pairs, so it's something that you need to be a bit cautious with. Again, liquidity, the spread on it still is 6. I mean, it's still one of the higher pip spreads at this point, the bid-ask spreads. Once it comes back down into normal ranges, we'll be better off. I don't know that this one will be tradable this weekend. We made it another week for this one of kind of eating the larger movements out. But even right here, you can see like right now, the last 30-minute, the last closed 30-minute one is about 80 pips. So still a bit volatile. This was always a 180 pip mover anyway, but we're still about 2 to 3 times what it's supposed to be per day. And even on the 30-minute, you guys can see not really a whole lot of entries top or bottom at all today. We're still kind of staying within that same range. Euro dollar up 137. All right. So interesting enough, this one literally went from being low in the curve to high, high, high. We touched the area that we are looking to get short, went all the way down. We got front row on this side, and now it's pulled all the way back. So we've gone from basically low to high to low. Well, I mean, I guess it's high to medium to low, from low back to medium. This thing's literally like up, down. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, yeah. This is where we're at right now. So we had a zone marked off, and I think that zone was on the lower, the small time frame. How low did we have that one? Um, yeah, there was the entry on this one. This was actually an entry that I marked off this morning. I'm sure all of you guys know at this point. So I jumped on this morning at about 8:15 before for the news. Um, I was trying to get an actual position on. It worked out better that I didn't because we didn't get the drop that I thought we were going to get. But I didn't have enough time to like set the stream up and find the chart at the same time. So next time I'm gonna have to make sure that I have to wake up earlier. But I'm probably gonna start doing that is jumping on for big announcements in the morning to see kind of what the charts look like. This was the first one that I tried to do it, and I built the overlay, but unfortunately, I didn't get enough time to actually get a trade place. So worked out today. We'll see. Next time I'll make sure I get a trade on. But this was a level that I had marked off earlier that we had a test off of. You guys can see we ended up hitting it right here. This is a small one. It's a little 15-minute zone that I ended up pulling out. 7:15 this morning is when we originally hit, and again came down here for the number. Drove down, and again, we were out at about 8. That's why I was able to find it. And then we pulled back up inside of that same zone at 9 o'clock, and then ended up going, what did we do? About 30 pips back to the downside before it hit it again and touched. So had you got into this for a second run, you would have probably been stopped out at break even or maybe banked a little bit. We were about 2 to 1 on the risk on this one, and again it came back up and spent a bunch of time underneath it before it finally broke through the top. So little trade this morning. You could have taken it. It wasn't bad. Like I said, it was. I think I originally found it on like the. Yeah, I originally found it here. We had marked this one off because of this. Again, the descending pattern that I like, and then I just kind of refined it a little bit. Actually, you could see it here. It's either one is fine, but yeah, it's a little quick zone. And then on the 15 minutes where you can really see us hitting here and bringing it. So it is a zone that I've been looking for, just something minor, guys. Besides that, where it is, there's nothing sitting in this zone. I mean, really, till we get back up to here. And again, let me go. Let me take. Really, I would not mark. I mean, the indicator is marking all this. I would only probably mark this as a zone. And then again, probably either dial it down, but there's probably something back in there. So on an hourly, that's probably where I'd use it. We're about 124 pips. It starts up here at 111.60. So it's got about a day's worth of work before we get up there. I'm kind of looking at this level to see if we can close up there. This trade is off. That was. Oh, I erased the other one too. Okay. If we get back up here, again, what I would do for this one, if you're looking for something, again, and want to sleep, set yourself an alert at 111.50, which is right there. That'll give yourself about, what, 20 pips? Excuse me. To get back to the computer before this one actually gives you an entry. I don't think we're going to hit it tomorrow. Without any news, I just don't think it's going to have the ability to rally that high. What I'd like it to do, and again, this is what I'm cheering on, is I'd like for it to close up in this area and then give us the potential to open in that area on Sunday night and then take a short on Sunday night. Now, if it does that, this could definitely be either an overnight chance or, I mean, spot currency, obviously, but this could also be a potential for a touch bracket. Okay, with kind of dollar strength coming back into the market next week because everything's already factored in right now. There's really not a whole heck of a lot else what we could do. I think only strong stuff at this point could come in. Um, Being this close to the stimulus about how great it is and everything else. I feel like they'll mention that, but again, that would be dollar strength opening here and then bringing it back to the downside. All right. So that is euro dollar. Euro Singapore, as you guys can see, again, this one we were waiting for it to come back up. Didn't quite make it there on the 4 hour. We did come back up and kind of got stuck. We pushed away out a little bit and then just kind of, just more or less went sideways. So, eh, eh, okay, nothing that I'm like, yeah, that's just amazing. Again, spread's a little bit bigger. The ATR on this one is about 225. It needs to come back down again. But again, we are high in the curve, so I am looking for, I'm looking for potential entries. And the one problem with this one is it gives a lot of good Sunday night entries, but the spread is just too big. You got to wait a couple hours, and then the spread jumps back down again. But this actually will get lower than 3. This is just one of the ones that is big right now. So jumping in the pound. Oh, you got some on that one, James? On the euro? Is that the one you're talking about? Or 1,000 a word. No. Yeah. Which one did you get this morning? Oh, for doing the presentation this morning? Maybe I'm confused. I don't have the mason jars. I'm out of mason jars. Oh yeah. I'll probably start doing it more often. I'll jump on for like a half hour for some of the big news releases. Yeah. It was fun. The baby was running around. She was like, "What are we doing?" And my wife was mad. Um, I got my wife in trouble actually because she was home and she was answering a phone call, and there was I guess a client that had called. And of course, I'm loud when I talk anyway. But obviously, I try to make this more exciting. There are so many people that do analysis, and they're just so boring to listen to. At least I try to jump around and make a lot of noise and stuff. The client could hear me. So like her boss is like buying like noise canceling headphones, and I had to inform her. I was like, "Hey, listen, noise canceling headphones will make it so you can't hear me, but the microphone is still gonna pick me up because I'm loud." And she was like, "Oh, I don't think you thought about that." So I'm ruining it for everybody. But I was like, "Man, I'm gonna be doing this in the morning all the time now." So, um, all right. So pound looks very familiar, right? This is the same pattern that we saw in the Aussie pairs, right? A lot of weakness, but now it's starting to push back up again. And again, red at the end. So it looks just like the Aussie pairs. On the 4 hour, you can see this is what we came off of. It was a zone that we talked about last night. Again, on the 4 hour on this pair, quite a bigger bigger zone, right? You're talking about 109 pips, not necessarily something that I'm willing to kind of step into. But again, you guys can see it did bounce off that zone. On the 1 hour, you can see, again, the 1 hour, we had a smaller zone painted in here, but it wouldn't have taken it. You would have had to take this upper zone. And again, on the 1 hour, you can see it's quite a large zone. I mean, you're talking about 65 pips on the 1 hour. Still more than I'd like to take, but again, still valid, still came to the downside. There's your 30-minute. And you can see that lower time, that lower one that's here. Again, we would have taken it. You would have taken the farther one. And even here, you can see that we have, the wick has gone into the box. And this is the best case scenario is 53 pips. So it was big. You know, it's valid. It's right at its 1 to 3 right now. So I mean, as long as you took a smaller position, you were okay. Just with everything going on, it's a bunch of risk, right? Here's where the news was this morning, right in this zone. Okay, we had gotten this bounce at 6:30. We'd come back up and retested the zone. Again, this is what you like to see, right? Pop out, 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, came right back into the zone to retest it, and then it was literally just boom, 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 boom. And the total movement on that one today was about 265 pips off that area. So that was a nice little run off that retest right around news time as well. And again, that's that's the market doing what it did today. Again, a little bit bigger of an area, but that sucker just went. I mean, you're negative very, very little. Like I said, here's that 8:30 candle. It popped down when it closed. You know, it closed here and then really never came back. Right, a little pullback and then boom, right there, back to the downside. So pound yen is interesting. And again, right now it's in between two zones. It's smack in the middle. It's not tradable right now. You need to wait till it gets back up top. I do think this top zone is probably tradable again. It barely grazed it. It touched it kind of twice. I didn't really leave with a lot of force, but again, came back and then pushed down. That's 133.79. And again, large zone, 50 pips, 134.30 on the top side. But again, if you can get some type of binary up in there pretty cheap, I think you have some potential for that one. But remember, after about noon tomorrow, this one kind of dies out. All right. Pound CAD. My phone. Whenever I get like 3 messages on my phone, I'm like, oh God, what just happened? All right, pound CAD on the daily. Okay. Now this one has the same pattern here, but the difference is it's not at the bottom, right? If you would cut this out and then paste it like down here, that's what we've seen on the Aussie and a lot of the other pairs. So this one, same rally back up again. Again, we had that big drop and then came up again. We are looking for some type of Harry Potter, but never actually got the clearance on that one, so really got no entry. We wanted to break, it wasn't able to do it. It did tag this smaller level, and we talked about this last night, right? Here's where Chart School was. We said, hey, listen, we just bounced off that prior zone. wouldn't do anything until it got back up top, and it didn't actually make it back up top. Here's the hourly. You can see the hourly kind of bounced. That one shouldn't be there. There we go. Again, touch, came back down, kind of touched, kind of came over. So it really has stayed in the same area. This one has actually been rather mute today. I'm still holding this entry for the downside, waiting for it to come back down. I do like the way that this has been touched here and here and here, showing me that there's definitely some orders, definitely some buyers there. But when those buyers escape, they will bounce, and then again we can take this to the opposite side. So I'm still holding that one. It's 166.29 to 165.42. Waiting for that on the downside trade. Looking at pound dollar. Now pound dollar was up. Let's see. This was the one that was crazy today. 332 pips. All right. So here is the daily. Look at the size of that candle. Right. Now again, another one of them that went from low to medium. Again, this is the curve, guys. This is the curve. Right. Low to medium. Okay. On the 4-hour, you can see the candles that we put on this one. Not really much chance to get into things. Again, it's hitting some sellers right in this area. This is the hourly, right? You can see that the news this morning was right here, like right in this range. It never even gave us a pullback. It just kept going. But it was already moving, right? It was already moving. Here's the 30-minute, and again, here is 6:30, 7:30, 8:30 right here. Here is the unemployment number. Okay. It was already kind of going that direction, right? If we look back to where chart school was last night, is we were here. So really here, this is where the London session started. So here to really there was London session. Here was that U.S. news, and then it just continued to push. So this one was not giving up. No matter what, this was given pound strength, dollar weakness all day long. Total movement from the European Open until the peak was 406 pips. Not a lot of places to get in, not really great pullbacks. It just kept running and running and running and running and running. Especially because that started on the, with the retail sales number that wasn't great. This was a runner today. This was the trade. I don't know. I did not get long this one. I was looking at other pairs today, but man, this was a good one today. I mean, it just went and went and went and went, and it was like the gift that kept on giving. But unfortunately, there was not a lot of great pullbacks to be able to. This was I'm going to stand on the dock and wave because you're not getting into this one, right? Oh, the ticket. I was like, wait a second. Why is she doing iTicket? No, it's not iTicket. There is no I anything in this channel. There's an exclamation point ticket, but there is no I tickets in here. All right, so where we are in this one, again, we are getting high in the curve now, at least on the lower time frames. You can see on the 1 hour. Again, this is a long push. We're not quite there. I mean, again, when I'm going to rake it back, you can see we're kind of more sitting in the middle, but it is running into some definitely, from selling orders in here. And again, 4 hour, you can see there's a level of basing right here, right? This level of basing right in this area. Okay, that's what we kind of turned off of. So because there was so much movement, again, 338 pips is a lot. I mean, the ATR on this one right now is 330, so it did the ATR of the high amounts. I'm thinking that this one is probably going to retrace tomorrow and head back to the downside. So I'm going to go into tomorrow. Again, I'll look tonight before I go to bed later. And then first thing when I wake up in the morning, this will be the pair that I look at for potential short entries to the downside. Now, if we do break through this zone, there is a potential that it will pull back and continue to use that as a leverage point to kind of bounce higher. Because this is not the best zone here. This is junk, but this is probably the next area. But we got quite a bit of room. That's another 250 pips to the top side. But I'm looking for probably more of a retracement to the downside. I think that's probably where this one is headed. All right. Pound Aussie. As you guys can see, pound Aussie is not super exciting. A lot of wicks back and forth. The ATR is 464, so it's kind of a no touch for me at this point. You can see, again, we were here. Let's see. Here's where we were last night. What did it do? It went up a little bit, went down a little bit, went right back up a little bit, and we're in the same exact spot. So here is the 21 candle the 21 candle closed. So we are 35 pips from where we were last night. And you guys can see this ATR is getting sucked down really, really. And I mentioned this, right? It looked like it was going deeper instead of being stuck up here, like how we had been doing here. It had pushed lower, right? I mean, there's the daily. You can see that very, very sharp decline. Again, hopefully tomorrow, boring day, get back into a good range. We're at 6 pips spread on this one, and again, the ATR is just jacked. I need to come back down to normal ranges again before I'm willing to look at it. Pound Singapore, again, you guys can see low on the curve into the medium. Again, running into some candle, some areas. here's the 4-hour zone. We marked it off yesterday. We talked about if it hits this area, they're going to be a potential short. But if anything, we're kind of sitting in the middle. It was kind of an intermediate area. It did push down twice. It made another attempt and push it down again, and then it's just sitting in that area right now. 7 pip spread, so you're going to pay for this one, unfortunately. And with a daily of 393, it makes you question. Like, listen, it's a 6-7 pip spread. It's got 400 pips that it can move a day. Is the liquidity there for me, or is this one going to be risky? And like I said, for me, I think it's a little bit risky going into a Friday. I think this one, we get a dead day, it could give us a potential opening on Sunday. Pound Swiss. So here's pound Swiss. You guys can see a zone I drew in here. Again, this was a bit of a wick area. I liked it. I wasn't sure why the indicator didn't grab it. We had a test of it here, a test of it here, and we ended up pulling back. It hit and it just stayed. So I mean, I wouldn't say that this is the best zone at this point. It did hold, but that's kind of where we're at. You guys can see here that it hit here, and the indicator had drawn a zone, but again, you needed to mark it first on the upper levels. But it hit, it finally hit that one and pushed down, and then kind of went over and is now stuck in that same area. So it's in the zone, but this is, hit, basically this is hit 3, and then obviously 4 is the one that kind of broke through. As far as the larger level goes, you know, it's kind of in a similar place that a couple other pairs are. It's in a position where I am more bearish the pair, but I'm not willing to step into one of the trades. The spread on this one is 5 right now. It does go up during the day, and it's 268. It is at a level where I would say I'm more bearish, but I'm not. I don't think I'll be able to find a trade tomorrow morning. And again, a spread of 5 means that again, if even I'm looking for 30 pips, this is kind of a big one. 5-pip spread versus what everything else. Hopefully next week it's back. And then pound, this one is 446. Spread is going to be what is it right now? The spread is 9. So everything I said about the last one, double that. I'm not going to trade New Zealand with liquidity issues with a 9-pip spread right now. Although this is great to see this kind of crashing back down so fast. Yesterday the high on this one, it was 560 yesterday, and now we're down to 460 today. So it whacked off 100 pips in that ATR just like that. I wonder if it was this big. Yeah, it's probably not the big candle. It's probably one of the other ones. But yeah, we'll be whacking these off. Once we get back down to here, this will be tradable. But right now, now it's a 12-pip spread. So yeah, it's just not one that's liquid enough for us to be trading. Okay. All right, dollar New Zealand. So dollar New Zealand looks just like the Aussie dollar is. Again, we had that big spike down and then push back up again. Really no pullbacks, right? It's moving pretty well. Okay, we had a little bit of an area of basing here, and it actually pushed through that just fine. That was an area that we had marked off. It hit it. It ended up pushing back down again and is now kind of stalling right there. This one, this has actually been a pretty healthy kind of run up again. The level when you go to the lower time frame was not the best level. I remember we had marked one off and we were like, yeah, we had this like little like rollover thing right here. It's okay, but that rollover was not a big explosive movement out. And these candles are pretty sloppy. So, at this point, I wanted to go higher. I can't pull any data from this right here. None of this is good because it's all wiki back and forth. I think I'm still holding for price to move up top, but it's that's a couple days. It's 300 something pips to the top side. So we got a couple days for that one to move, and the ATR on this one right now is still at 185. So this is going to be probably not till next week. There's not going to be a whole lot in that one. Now New Zealand yen. I'm gonna go up top. All right, so this guy, we got front run yesterday. We made another attempt. So I'm definitely bearish this position. The fact that it was unable to push even higher, I was looking for an entry. We did not make it up to there. So we have the gap, and then we have a kind of new level in front of the gap, a little bit more of an aggressive entry. And then we got front run again. So, you could say that, listen, we have our highs here. Here's one level, then here's a level, and then here's a test, and then there's another level, and then a lower high. So we are putting things in. But again, so far the buyers have been holding it up as well because we had a low here, a low here, a low here, and this may be another low. So there is a level of consolidation in this one. It's nice to see the ATR going back down again, but I needed the scope just a bit higher. It didn't quite get there. It's funny. I actually mentioned this to Jack earlier today. I was like, hey, Jack, are you getting a lot of things that are getting front run? He's like, yeah, yeah. And I figured out, Jack told me his secret on what he's doing to get it entered when he gets front run. And it made sense. I was like, yeah, I could see that. It's similar to what we do with, the red, green, reds. Similar. Yeah. We just have a little bit more confirmation than what his does. But it's similar, just two methods. But yeah, he said he's running the same situation where a bunch of stuff is just markets stepping in right before he's willing to get in. So New Zealand dollar, New Zealand yen, even on the lower time frames, you can see that we're unable to get back up. This was a nice little pop. I remember talking about this last night. This pop to the downside, nice level, but didn't make it back up. So obviously we no entry on that one. Not much we can do. Again, hopefully next week, we'll move this so you can see it a little bit better. Hopefully next week, if we can get back up and if we can close somewhere in that range, um, that wouldn't be a bad little short to take. Dropping that one down. I like where the 1 to 3 is. If we can kind of come over here, close here, open in that zone, and then play it down, I think that could be a nice one. All right. That could be a good one. All right. Looking across at the U.S. news. All right. So here's the dollar yen. Dollar yen, I talked about this. We marked this one off Monday time frame. Look at this thing. This thing is just heading straight to the downside. I mean, it's just flying at this point. A couple of big days in a row. You guys can see it did pass that 1 to 3. I mean, this is a big movement, and we talked about all the risk level that was in this thing. It's 217, and now it's up 314 at this point. It's moving. But again, this would have been one of those ones that had you played this with a touch bracket, keeping that limited risk on it on like a Sunday night. Not a bad little trade there, right? It moved all right, and like I said, it wasn't something I took in spot currencies because the risk level was too big. But again, high on the curve, and we're moving one more day. That's about half this much movement. This was a big day. This was 190 in the last 24 hours. We have another day of like 100, 120. We're clearly from the high into the middle again. And it's another one of those situations. If you're not looking, if you guys don't have the newsletter, do yourself a favor. It's $10. Get it. It's 4 weeks for $10. It's $2.50 a week, right? It's dirt cheap. Just having the the ability to say, listen, we are biased because it's high or low, and depending on what it is, I use different time frames. It's not all just a dollar. Sometimes I'm using the 4 hour. Sometimes I'm using the hour. It depends on the asset and what the actual movement looks like. But it's giving you an idea of if something's high, what should we be more bullish or bearish biased? And again, every week there's 5 or 6 of them that are going from, a high in the curve to low. And again, like I said, it's not always a daily. It is a lot, but it's not always this. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's even the weeklies. Okay, so I do bounce it around based off of what the price action looks like. Where we are tomorrow, this is kind of what we're looking at. I'll remove that top one. That's where the entry. At this point, I would say we need to get a little bit lower. I'm interested to see how the market reacts tomorrow, but we got what? We got 153 so we can get down to this zone. I don't know that we're going to get 153 pips of movement tomorrow. Just because we had so much today, I feel like the market will be more exhausted. There's no news. It's literally just going to be like, COVID-19 response things. I just don't know that there's going to be enough in there to kind of power it again. Today was a big day. If anything, I could see a retracement and us thing turning around and kind of coming back up again. I was sure that today would be down and then Friday we would end up with some positivity. Basically, the stimulus is the only thing. News about the stimulus is the only thing that's going to really drive it tomorrow. So I still think we'll probably end. Now, if they don't get the stimulus done, then yeah, I think we'll be negative. But I'm pretty sure everything will be finalized with that. There won't be any questions. Everything will be answered at that point. Everything is not answered right now, but everything will be answered tomorrow. If there's still questions and people don't know things, then again, that could get a little bit of negativity creeping in, and then we could obviously, get some movement in this one. All right, have some dollar weakness and have this start to rally again. All right, so that's dollar yen, dollar Swiss. Okay, dollar Swiss on the daily. Look at this big move to the downside. 135. That's a lot. The daily ATR right now is 148. So it's a lot on a regular day, and 148 is not extremely exaggerated. It's about 2 times what it's typically ATRs. There was no way to get into this one. It just continued to push. There's the hourly. There was just nothing. There was this one little piece here, right? Last chart school was right here. There's been nothing, right? There's just been no way to get into this position. Here's the 30-minute, right? Whoops. Here's where we were last night. Right here. This is about the only shot. And it just kept going. So if we could have got short, it would have been nice, but there's just nothing in there. I even mentioned being short last night. If you can get in, we just couldn't get in. It just literally just kept running and running and running and running and running and running away from us. Now on the 4 hour, you can see we are in areas now where we do have some basing. So I do think if we go a little bit lower, 40 more pips, we may see a little bit of a bounce. This is about a 19 pip zone, so it's you know about 19 pip zone. It's not bad. It may give us a little bit of a bounce tomorrow. It's something that I'm looking for depending on when it hits. Wait, what? We need a group of all of us. Oh my God, my sister is sending me mass. You guys, so I was explaining this to my wife. Do you guys remember the day of the chain messages? You guys remember an email? You would get these random messages from people that it's like, hey, you need to send this to 12 people, or the locusts are going to eat your house. Those kinds of messages. But if you send it along, you'll receive a suitcase full of money. I feel like all these like group messages now I get on Facebook are like the same way. It's literally like, nonstop messaging. It's like, oh, it's like a chain message. My family's like, we should all talk. It would be great. Hold on, I gotta find where this window is. I know you guys can hear the beeping. It's driving me crazy. Um, Hold on one sec, guys. I have to close this down. Let's close that off. Put this over here. I want to message my sister, but like, would you stop text messaging me? Where the heck is it? There it is. All right, good. Sorry. I don't know if you guys can hear, but like, it's like ding, 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 ding. It's like, my God, shut up. Yeah, I don't get into that mess. I'm the one that cuts that chain. Yeah, yeah. I never sent it along either, so I guess I'm doomed, right? I mean, locusts haven't eaten my yard. My hair is grayer, right? My hair is grayer, but I haven't lost it. I always thought that, don't send this and you will be bald. That was always a problem for me. I have plenty of hair. So again, little trade that we have set up for this one. I think we could get, this as far as the potential go. The 1 to 3 is obviously sitting on the other side of this basing area. Your 1 to 5 is probably a good target as well. If it doesn't get down to this level, this could be a definite trade for Sunday night. As we pop into that zone, take this thing long, look for a little bit of a rally, and that's only hourly. You guys could draw that one. So dollar Swiss is a potential setup right there. Drop it into the CAD. So I drew this last night, guys, and what did I say? I said we would be either up or down, and that was probably where it'd move for the day. Now we were looking for spikes there, right? And it didn't spike; it ended up going the other direction, right? So the news this morning was, let's see, here's where we are. The news this morning was right here. Okay, all the movement, right? All the movement. Hold on, let me make sure I'm right. Yeah, all the movement happened overnight. So when I drew this last night, it was kind of like, all right, so I'm expecting this, again, we'll be most likely in here and we'll get a spike up or down. I mean, it went to where we thought it was going to go to. It just didn't do it with the news. It did it before the news even got there. So this is what I would say would be an example of the market pricing things in way ahead of time, right? Way ahead of time. I mean, literally last night. I mean, this is like midnight, right? Yeah, midnight is like right here. And it did nothing but go boop, 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 all the way down. And we were already down here by 11 o'clock. So, I mean, here's where the news came out, right here. We were already down that far. So, big movement. 260 pips. I was like, yeah, I can't. I mean, 260 is a lot, but this is a big enough spike. It's down 222 right now from where we were last night. So, yeah, I guess I got front run. The markets are, somebody's watching. Warren Buffett's watching my presentations and my drawings. It must be. Yeah, because that's where it is right now. So, it moved. We drew it. Kind of interesting how that worked out. So, with that being said, where we are, we do have this zone right below us, and again, you can see it on the 30-minute. I think we are probably due for a pop. I mean, like I said, this is. Wait, no, wait. Oh, it's not. It's a hand drawn zone. Yeah, it's a hand drawn zone. I'm like, wait, why can I not? Um, Hold on. Wait, hold on. Let me see something here. We're just refining that a little bit. All right. So we will do it this way. Go. That's still fine. All right. Somewhere like this. Something along those lines. Okay, there's a potential little setup tomorrow. Like I said, this one is still a little bit exaggerated as well. I mean, the daily ATR is 251 right now. This one used to be 40, right? So we are 5 times higher, and you can see some very, very large candles in here. This is another one of the ones that, again, pull the ATR across, and you guys can see sharp pullback. But look at this. This was, the average down here, and again, I'm taking the average, kind of the peak here in the bottom on that side is 60, right? You can see over the last, beginning of the year, we're down here in the 40s, the 47s, 48s. And now we're up, even with this pullback, we're at 250. So, bit exaggerated. You guys can see, look how little these daily candles are versus what we have now. So, again, there is some oomph that we can, potentially have tomorrow. Again, this one will run all day. Again, this will be a bit of an oil story, a bit of everything else with going in. But, the dollar was so beat up today. I think we would probably have a little bit of a pullback, and that may give us the entry. And if not, save this one for over the weekend. For me, the entry on this one, again, check your own charts to make sure that there's no different pricing. But 139.70, what was it? 139.97 to 139.62 is what that zone looks like. There's dollar CAD and then dollar Singapore. Getting close. You guys can see this one on a daily. Again, from high, we're pulling back. This one didn't really bounce off much. You guys can see the weekly targets here. I mean, there was just nothing sitting up that high. So, kind of a hard one to grab up top. On the 4 hour, you can see that had a level of basing and it had a very strong push off. So I do like that zone. If price is ever able to get back up to this zone, I do like that one. I think that's a great one. But to the downside right now, we're kind of stuck in this little pocket right here. Right? It'd be more like that probably. So it's kind of boxed in. And again, I know not everybody trades this pair, but this one actually does have some good trade setups off of it. You can see on the lower time frame, it is marking off 2 zones. We're kind of going to take the whole bracket. But again, top here, bottom down here. So if anything, I'm a bit bearish this one. If the dollar goes down, again, it makes sense. It is right at another demand zone, just like the Swiss and like the yen as well. It just drops a little bit further. It's sitting inside a demand level and expect a pop tomorrow. All right. Okay. All right. So let's look at the fun ones. Okay. All right. So here's CL. 15 minutes crazy. Yeah. So this was one of the ones I was discussing with Jack today as well. I was like, all right, Jack. I was like, give me your assessment on there because I see, I think 20 is going to be hard to get through, but what do you got? And he said that if we get a bit higher, if we break the 55s, then yes, it's an extension high. He said it's still technically an extension low, and all I see is consolidation in here. Now, his big comment was that, the Saudis are trying to put everybody else out of business, but, when you start buying everybody out and the competition gets to be less and less and less, the price is going to go up in my eyes. I think this is a pretty good bottom. He said, he has an extension target down at 16. I just don't know if oil will get down to 16. They can make comments that, yeah, we can take it to 10 and do it for a year and a half and put everybody else out of the business. But I also think that if it gets that big, again, think about what the United States has done for banks when they got hurt. Like, look how big Exxon is. Like, how, what would it do to our oil producers and our economy, which is based off of oil, if it gets that they're basically saying we're going to put you out of business because we are now an oil producer, not an oil purchaser. So I feel like if they take it to 10, we will buy every single thing that we have and we'll be storing it like, in our backyards. But I don't think it's going to stay there long. So I just have a hard time thinking that it's going to go below 20. Maybe it'll make another attempt down there. Can it drop another $10? I just don't know. I just feel like the government would step in. I mean, everybody would love the cheap oil, but if they did that, I mean, if the Saudis want to destroy the world like that with the Russians, I feel like that would not only hurt U.S. companies, but it would destroy Canada as well because that's like their number one export. So we're not going to let our allies go, be destroyed because of oil. Although we will buy lots of it, I feel like we will buy tons of it. We'll be sitting on a ton of inventory. This funded for the next like 80 years. And there is one good benefit as well. A friend of mine is very, very big on airline hedging. He said Southwest hedging contract is coming due. They are gonna basically short the heck out of this, or they're gonna hedge the heck out of this with the low pricing now. They'll be able to roll the one over and get cheap prices. So they will once again. They got lucky the first time. The reason why Southwest was always so much cheaper is because they had hedged oil correctly. The pricing worked out perfect for them. It's coming due again, where it looks like they will be able to be the cheapest guy on the block because of their oil hedge. So yeah, kind of interesting. But yeah, I just this one is getting difficult to trade because I just see it's just not
Again, small movement. We were looking at this. This is trending market. This is not a trending market. It's really just bouncing back and forth on the 30-minute. You can see there's really just, again, it's there's a range. I mean, you could say that we've basically been stuck inside of this range, right? Let me change this to a different color so it's a little bit better. Let's not make it green. Let's make it gray, right? So again, we've been stuck literally inside of this going, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then we're kind of stuck here. So big question is tomorrow, is it going to bounce out of that range? I don't know. I just don't see anything that could really kind of bump us that way, right? I mean, it's great that it's cheap, right? The economy's slow. There's not going to be a lot of demand for it, which is also driving the value down. But demand will start picking up. Chinese workers are starting to go back. So, with demand, I see price going a bit higher. I mean, with more demand, the price typically does not go down. Um, I don't know. If anything, I have to say I'm still kind of neutral in this position. I know I'm normally bullish or bearish, but I would say I'm more neutral. I mean, there is obviously a small range from 24.15 to 25.30 or 40. I'm in this dollar range, top to bottom, but I just don't see. Again, playing it curve wise when we were low in the curve here, yeah, it went high, and then we're high, and then we went back to medium or kind of low, right, and then high, and then low. So more neutral. Yeah, what we on? On oil right now. This is oil. Okay, so oil, I'm neutral going into gold. Okay, so gold, here's gold, rallied up when we talked about this, right? Running into some targets, right? Mentioned this before. Again, we saw a pullback, right, from that level of basing, but it didn't quite get to where our area was. So again, here I will draw, this is the zone that we had marked off, right? There's the gray box, and I said there was a little zone here, and that was what Jack was, going long into on Monday to Sunday. And then I was like, hey, listen, we got a zone right here. I think that was on the hourly. Yeah, we marked it off on the hourly right here. We had one touch. Well, look what we ran into today. You guys see this? It went right into the top of it. I don't know if you guys can see here. I'll zoom in for you guys. You guys see what we triggered into? Again, this was a minor target. We ended up hitting, but we had this larger target here, and boom, we hit it and collapsed. So two different winning trades inside of here, pushing this one back inside of gold. And looking at this, again, gold, we tagged the zone here. We barely touched it. Well, we did enter, right? We did enter. Came back, put a lower high in, put a lower low in, obviously, a lower close, right? Not a lower low. I think this is coming back down again. I think this is not going to get a bounce until we get back down into here, into this 1602. Okay, so I think that at this point, reverse this one, delete this one, and let's see, pop this one, something along those lines. Okay, the 1 to 3 is good. The 1 to 5 is actually not in a horrible position either. Okay, in the overnight, I would say I'm probably a bit more bearish this position. Right, bit more bearish. It looks like to me that it wants to continue to push down. And again, you could refine this target a little bit lower if you wanted to. Again, this is off the hourly. You could drop it down and do the 30-minute and make it a little bit smaller. Right, do a little smaller. Yeah, not too bad. Oh, another a penny stock guy. I was like, wait, what's been good? So yeah, so guys, that's what I'm looking for there. Silver's been a little bit different. I mean, here's silver on the daily, right? We got front run in that area. You guys can see how close it was. We had talked about that last night. And it made another attempt. I mean, look, you got lows in, right? We just didn't get there. But is it trending right now? No, it's just literally going sideways. It's just not doing much. Here's the 30-minute. You can see there was a little bit of a zone. You got front run here. Didn't hit that zone again, and then put a little bit of a low in. So it's the highs are getting lower. The lows are getting higher. So silver is also bottling up. And remember, silver is not the same type of inflation hedge as gold is. It trades along with it because it's a precious metal, but it doesn't quite have the same hedge. Jack had some crazy targets on this one, and I was like, what? And I was like, I don't know about that. I was like, I think that's a bit low. But like I said, most of the focus is going to be on gold, and you can see the charts are very much different. Silver, way down here. Gold, way up here, right? So a little bit different between the two as far as prices go. Again, there's your daily, very, very high in the curve. The silver, very, very low on the curve on the daily. Okay, so a little bit different. Again, now we're kind of pushed back up. We went from low into that medium range as well. And again, gold was low in the sense that this is the last time that price has been down here, right? But again, not low on the overall curve. But we are still sitting up here near, near time, all-time highs, right? Versus kind of being smack in the middle of the range. So silver is kind of the redheaded stepchild at this point, right?
So here's the NQ. So NQ, we had a little 30-minute level up there. So on the daily, you guys can see another big rally up. Like I said, I don't think this is the bottom. I think this can go lower. Paul Tudor Jones now agrees with me. I'm glad that him and I are on the same page. Pushing up, again, no real levels to grab, and we mentioned this yesterday. I just didn't really see a whole lot in here. Today was basically up. I mean, it went straight up from the time that the news came out. It burst through a couple levels in here. I mean, there was a little bit here, but you guys can see it bounced off an hourly level. It's quite a large zone. We mentioned it last night, the 74.90, what is it? I'm sorry, 78.50 up to 79.72. But there's buyers right below it. So, you guys can see the trade's already passed. It's already kind of dropped below. I'd like to see it actually pull back. I think we could probably pull back down. Now, I'm not rooting for a red day tomorrow. I'd like it to be a green day because I know the country needs it right now. But looking at this, the way this is starting to form a base right below this level, I think this will break. And I'm thinking in the overnight, we may continue to push to the downside with a target kind of over here in the overnight. So that's what I would kind of say for NQ. For Dow, as you can see, Dow, nice day up again, right? Didn't quite get back up to where we're looking to sell it. This was one of those larger targets. You can see if I extend this across, it didn't quite make it. It actually turned ahead of time. Now, this had some funky candles, that little gap over here and everything else going on. We were close, right? It pushed through. We had a little bit of a zone that we were looking to take here because that was the gap fill here. But again, this was also a rollover and a bunch of other things, and this is kind of a really, really funky level. But it did hit that gap and roll down, which was great. But then from the actual time today, right? Right here is where the news was this morning. It did nothing but go up, 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 up. It broke that level. It paused, right? Hit it, paused, came up, and then grabbed it. And actually, here, you guys recognize this pattern, right? You guys recognize that pattern? When we break a level, we get some black space or white space underneath of it. We pull back and touch it, and then go higher. There's your Harry Potter trade. Right? It was a Harry Potter to the top side. I know most of the time we're doing Harry Potter to the downside, but this was a Harry Potter to the top side. Was looking for it to go a bit higher. Again, I don't know if we hit the 3-to-1 on this one or not. Actually, yeah, it hit. It did hit its 3-to-1. Whoops, not that one. It goes right there. Yeah, so you guys can see right there. We ended up hitting our 1-to-3 on that one. Now where's she at? I don't know if she got it today. If EJ got that one, but yeah, there's your Harry Potter to the top, guys. It triggered. I feel the same way about this one. I was hoping that if we get a little bit higher so I could take a short off this top section, but we didn't make it up that far, and now we're putting new lows in. So I want to see green pullback, and when it breaks, like I said, I think it will break this zone. Harry Potter is only good for typically one touch. It will be broken at this point. And again, this is almost like a parabolic retracement. We had a little bit push higher. I do see a turn and a flip back to the downside. So yeah, we can look at it. I mean, like I said, kind of the same thing. I feel like this one will be negative in the overnights. S&P, I'm already going to tell you this one. I feel like this one is negative too. Again, pulled up into the 4-hour zone. Not really a great zone. This one did not have the easy grab. The gap was right to here. And you guys can see it ended up bouncing off of that gap zone as well. Again, same candle, kind of in the middle of no man's land. Here was the gap. Here was the retracement off of the gap. This top, kind of the same thing. I mean, the chart looks very, very similar. There was the area, popped up, retrace, popped up again, and got front run on the top side. So, easier to see here on the 30-minute. Up, down, pop, right? Up, down, pop, and then we had that zone up top. So I also feel like this one will get broken. I feel like we will retrace back down again and, maybe potentially even open up the day tomorrow at, 24.31. Okay. So that's the indices. What play zone? Any thoughts on AYTU? Let me see if I can pull it up. I don't know if I can pull it up or not. Let's see. Freestockcharts.com. Let's see if it'll give it to me over here. Oh, that's not even there anymore? No way, really? Let's see. Oh no, it's still there. No, I'm not downloading anything. Is it stock charts? Here, let me see. All right, what do you want? AYTU? I'll look at it. Ooh, a bioscience company. Let's see. Let's pull this across and let's see. Can I make this bigger? It's way too small. There we go. All right. So what are you looking for? I mean, this one is a $1.60 stock. So if you've heard about the stock, that means somebody else is probably pumping this thing up. I'll tell you right now, the fact that it says bioscience in it, somebody's like, ooh, bioscience, it's probably good. Just in looking at it on the daily, I can tell you right now, I don't like it. I would probably short this thing. The way that it's kind of formed new levels and got jammed back down again, made an attempt to go higher and then got jammed back down again at a lower high. I would say that it's really, I mean, I can only look at daily and weeklies on it because of the price of it, but I I would say that I'd be more bearish this position than anything else. I just don't see anything in here that tells me that it's going to go, much higher. It maybe will bounce a little bit off of this 140 area, just because of the way the candles are formed. But as you can see, we had a big push up, drop down, went lower, right? Kind of came back up, went lower again, kind of went lower, got kind of hammered down again, and then gapped up, but that's not a very powerful gap, right? I mean, if it was really strong, it would have been able to blow through the top side here from 220 up to 3, and it didn't. It just came back down again. So, again, it looks like it's running out of steam. You see all this kind of movement, but what happened here? Nothing, 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 and then again, nice pop, but now it's all starting to kind of push back again, and it's starting to kind of run out of steam. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I would be short the position. I don't really see anything that tells me that, hey, listen, I need to be long. So that's all I got on that guy. And again, anything that's 160, again, you're basically just doing scratch off lottery tickets. So, I mean, it, could it jump 20 cents? Sure, it could, but you could put your money in much better places than something like this. Right? Definitely not investing in this. All right, guys. So with that being said, that is the last of the pairs. Let's go ahead and get into. How do I go back out of the editor? No, I don't need the editor. Go back to the tickets. Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, so 7 of you guys are in right now. It is 1:30. I will give you, actually, it's almost 1:31. So I will give you guys to 1:32 to go ahead and put a ticket in. All you have to do is hit exclamation point ticket. Everybody gets a free ticket, so even if you just got into the stream, you're more than welcome to put a ticket in, see if you can get a win. Pip chips are used for purchasing things like mentor sessions, analysis sessions, market psychology sessions, purchasing indicators. Can be used for any number of things. And the way you accumulate them is just by watching the stream. So I'll give you guys one more minute. Oh, Wealth Builder's already in. He's like, I am not messing around tonight. I am getting into this position. Debbie's shooting for 100. Oh, yeah, that's right. Debbie won yesterday. Debbie's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. See, look, Debbie's doing some money management today, right? She knows that there is a chance. If she wins tonight, she wins 100. So she bet an extra 10 pip chips for a chance of getting 4 times as many pip chips as she would normally get. And then Wealth Builder's like, I'm going to go in there and mess up her percentages. Somebody else will get in there and mess it up too, I'm sure. All right, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. I made up for last night. Oh, look at this. It's a bidding war now. Will's like, I'm not going to let you get ahead of me. I'll tell you right now, the only reason Will bet 2 is because Ernest only bet 1. That's what it was. And he's only got 8 seconds. So by the time he's hearing this, it'll already be expired. I'm going to close it right on there because I know you guys are trying to snipe it at the end. Ready? Let's see. Bam. All right. See if anybody tries to put one in. All right, so the winner of tonight's drawing is, and remember, guys, you get 1 ticket for free, and then it's 10 pip chips after that. So it's like really nothing, right? And again, Debbie's winning. If Debbie wins tonight, she goes for 100. So the winner of tonight's drawing is Ernest did it with 1. So maybe Wealth Builder and Will were trying to mess it up, but man, Ernest takes it with the 1 with a 8% chance of winning. Now, I will say it is pretty interesting. For a while, we were on a track record of getting I'd say every 2 weeks, somebody got a double. We haven't had a double for a while. It's been crazy. We literally have not had a double for a while. I was like, hey, listen, if you get a double, you get 100 pip chips instead of 25. And nobody's won it yet. Right? Crazy. I think, who was the last one? I think it was La Marina. I think La Marina was the last one that got a double. But we weren't doing the 100 pip chips, so yeah, pretty interesting. All right, so let's give Ernest his pip chips here. All right. By the way, I meant to do it today because I didn't have the boys today, but then I got into testing kind of a new tool for the 5-minute binaries. I did find a really, really cool tool for it. It's a multiple time frame analysis tool, which I was like, oh, this is cool, and it has an alert function, which I was like, ooh, I like alert functions now because I got so much stuff going on. I got pulled away, but the goal is tomorrow that I will pull all the old pip chips across, and then things next week will be looking good. Ernest is a Nadex market maker in disguise. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
again, I will try to get everything updated I don't have the kids this weekend, so the goal is to get all the newsletter stuff done on Saturday this week. I'd like to get it all done on Saturday morning, hopefully. But if I can get it done Saturday, I will make sure that I alert everybody inside of the channel. And then obviously we have to wait for the Sunday night gaps until the market opens on Sunday night. So with that being said, trade cool tomorrow. Make sure you guys, watch your risk. I'd expect probably for a less busy day. And it's good. I'm hoping the currencies are more or less flat tomorrow because I want next week to be back to normal trading. All right. And I will catch you guys next weekend. See you guys on Discord. Take care.